Growing up, everyone thought Mia and her brother Ryan were the perfect siblings. They lived in a cozy house in the suburbs with a small garden their mom loved and a garage their dad turned into a workshop. Their parents, Mark and Linda, worked hard all their lives. Their dad was a mechanic and their mom ran a small bakery. Mia was the quiet, responsible one. Ryan was charming and confident, the kind of person everyone liked instantly. He was funny, bold, and had a smile that could melt anyone's heart. Their parents adored both of them, but deep down, Mia always knew Ryan had a way of getting what he wanted, even if it meant bending the truth. When they were kids, Ryan would convince her to take the blame when he broke something. He'd promise, "I'll make it up to you later, sis." He never did. Still, Mia forgave him every time. That's what family did, right? As they grew older, their lives took different turns. Mia went to college, worked hard, and built a quiet, stable career as an accountant. Ryan, on the other hand, jumped from one job to another, always chasing some big opportunity that never quite worked out. But no matter what, their parents loved him fiercely. "He just needs time to figure things out," their mother would say with a smile. Years passed and their parents grew older. They often talked about how they wanted both their children to be taken care of after they were gone. "We've worked too hard to leave you kids with nothing," their father once told them. They had some savings, the family home, and a small inheritance fund. It wasn't much, but it was their life's work. Mia didn't think much about it. She just wanted her parents to be happy and healthy. But Ryan, he listened closely every time money or inheritance came up. Then, one cold winter evening, everything changed. Their father had a heart attack in his sleep. He was gone before the ambulance even arrived. Their mother broke down completely, and Mia did everything she could to keep the family together. Ryan returned home for the funeral, well-dressed, calm, saying all the right things. He held their mother's hand, hugged Mia tightly, and whispered, "Don't worry, sis. I'll handle everything." And at that moment, Mia believed him. She didn't know that those words, "I'll handle everything," were about to destroy everything her parents had worked for. After their father's funeral, the house felt empty. The smell of his old leather jacket still lingered in the hallway, and the sound of his favorite radio shows seemed to echo from nowhere. Their mother barely spoke, her grief filling every corner of the home. Mia took time off work to help out, sorting through paperwork, paying bills, and handling the endless formalities that come after a death in the family. But Ryan, as always, was confident and smooth. "Don't stress, sis," he said, patting her shoulder. "I'll handle the legal stuff. I've already spoken to Dad's lawyer." Mia looked up from the stack of documents. "You did? That was fast." He smiled. "Someone had to take charge. You've done enough." It sounded reasonable. Ryan was the older brother, after all. He knew people, he said. He could make things easier. Mia trusted him, just like she always had. Weeks passed. Ryan was constantly on the phone, meeting with lawyers, bankers, and advisors. He told Mia not to worry, that everything was being processed fairly, that she'd get her share once the paperwork cleared. Then, one day, their mother called Mia in tears. "Sweetheart, I think I made a mistake." Mia rushed over. Her mother was sitting at the dining table, trembling, holding a folder of legal papers. She said she signed something Ryan gave her. He said it was for the insurance claim, but now the lawyer says the house deed is in his name. Mia's heart dropped. "You mean in his name?" She wiped her eyes. "He said it was temporary, that it would make things easier with the taxes. I didn't think..."
Mia's hands shook as she flipped through the documents. There it was, her father's signature, her mother's, and Ryan's name listed as sole property owner. She felt the blood drain from her face. He had tricked their grieving mother into signing over everything. When she confronted him, he didn't even look ashamed. "It's not what you think," he said, crossing his arms. "I'm just protecting the assets. You're too emotional right now to understand how this works." "Ryan, this is our parents' home," she snapped. "You can't just take it." He smirked. "Our parents, yes, but they trusted me with it. You were always too busy with your job to care." That line cut deep. For a moment, she saw right through his calm mask, the greed, the entitlement, the arrogance. Her own brother, the boy she shared ice cream with as a child, had turned into a stranger. Within weeks, Ryan moved her mother into a smaller apartment, claiming it's better for her health. He sold most of her father's tools, even the old car. When Mia demanded answers, he blocked her from accessing any of the accounts. The inheritance, the savings, even the insurance money, all gone. Her mother's heart broke all over again. She grew quieter by the day, until one morning, she simply didn't wake up. At the funeral, Ryan gave another flawless speech. Tears, soft words, fake grief. People praised him for being such a devoted son. Mia stood at the back, her fists clenched, her face pale with rage. She didn't cry this time. She just stared at her brother, the man who had destroyed their family for money, and whispered to herself, "You think you've won, Ryan, but you haven't." That night, as she sat alone in her apartment, Mia opened her father's old toolbox, the one Ryan hadn't managed to sell. Inside was a small notebook full of numbers, dates, and old financial notes. And on the last page, her father had written something that made her stop breathing. "Never trust anyone with money who lies easily, even if it's family." Mia closed the book slowly. For the first time since her father's death, she didn't feel weak. She felt focused. Ryan had taken everything from her, her parents, her home, her inheritance. But now, she had something stronger than grief. She had a plan.
The day after her mother's funeral, Mia sat alone in her small apartment, surrounded by boxes she never had time to unpack. The silence felt heavy, like the world had stopped spinning. But beneath the sadness was something new, a quiet, steady anger. She took out her father's notebook again. The pages smelled faintly of engine oil and old paper. Each entry listed dates, account numbers, and notes in her father's careful handwriting. He had documented every savings deposit, insurance payment, and property detail. Ryan had underestimated his father and Mia. She opened her laptop and started digging. She logged into her parents' old bank accounts, checked property records, and called the insurance company. It took hours, but little by little, the truth started to unfold. Ryan hadn't just transferred the house into his name. He'd also changed the beneficiaries on their father's life insurance policy. So when their mother passed, every dollar went to him. He'd forged signatures, lied to lawyers, manipulated their mother's grief. And worst of all, he'd done it believing Mia would never fight back. She sat back, trembling, her heart pounding. Then she opened a new spreadsheet. If Ryan wanted a war over money, Mia would fight it on her battlefield. Over the next few weeks, Mia quietly began collecting evidence. She met with her father's old lawyer, who was furious when he learned what Ryan had done. He explained that some of the signatures looked off. She didn't stop there.
She talked to the bank manager, cross-checked the handwriting, and pulled records of every transfer Ryan had made. It was painstaking work, but Mia was an accountant. Numbers told stories, and Ryan's numbers told one full of lies. She found offshore accounts, fake company names, even a wire transfer labeled consulting fee that matched the amount of the inheritance fund. Mia gathered every document, printed every email, and built a case strong enough to make any lawyer's jaw drop. But she didn't go to the police right away. Not yet. First, she needed to know what Ryan was doing with all that money. She followed him online, finding social media posts of fancy vacations, new cars, and business trips. He was pretending to be a successful real estate investor, hosting parties in the same house their parents had built with their own hands. Mia's jaw tightened as she stared at the photos. Every smile he gave to the camera made her more determined. One night, she drove by the old house. Lights glowed in the windows. Music drifted into the street. Through the fence, she saw Ryan laughing with strangers, champagne glass in hand. That's when she made her decision. She wasn't going to beg for justice. She was going to build it herself. She reached out to a local journalist who specialized in financial crimes. She shared everything: the documents, the proof, the forged papers. The journalist listened silently and then said, "If this checks out, your brother could be facing years in prison." Mia looked her in the eye. "I don't want revenge," she said calmly. "I want the truth out, and I want my parents' legacy back." A week later, the story broke online. Local man accused of defrauding family and stealing inheritance. The post went viral. Ryan's phone started blowing up. His business partners backed out. His friends disappeared, and his reputation collapsed overnight. Mia watched from her office, the headline glowing on her computer screen, and whispered to herself, "This is for Mom and Dad." But deep down, she knew it wasn't over. Ryan wasn't the kind of man who went down quietly. And soon, he'd come looking for her.
The story exploded faster than Mia ever imagined. News outlets picked it up, social media tore Ryan apart, and within days, his perfect image collapsed. The man who once bragged about being self-made was now trending for fraud and family betrayal. But Mia knew Ryan. He wouldn't stay silent. She was right. 3 nights later, as she came home from work, she found him waiting by her apartment door, leaning against the wall, wearing the same confident smirk he used when they were kids and he'd gotten away with something. "Mia," he said softly, as if nothing had happened. "We need to talk." Her pulse quickened, but she didn't show it. "You shouldn't be here." "Please," he sighed, stepping closer. "You've made a huge mistake. You've ruined my reputation based on lies." "Your lies," she snapped. "I have proof, Ryan. Every forged signature, every transfer. You stole from Mom and Dad." "You think you're some kind of hero now? You leaked private documents. You could go to jail for that." Mia stared at him. "At least I didn't betray my own family for money." His smile faltered for just a second. Then he softened his tone. "Look, sis, we can fix this. Let's just say the press exaggerated. We tell everyone it was a misunderstanding and we'll split what's left, 50-50. She crossed her arms. "There's nothing left to split. You spent it all." Ryan's jaw tightened. His charm faded, replaced by the cold, entitled tone she remembered the day he took the house. "I gave you a chance to stay quiet. But if you want a war, fine. Just remember, I know things about you, too." Mia held his gaze. "Then say them, because I'm done being afraid of you." For the first time, Ryan didn't have a comeback. He turned, muttered something under his breath, and stormed down the hallway. The next few weeks were chaos. Ryan's accounts were frozen, his business partners sued him, and the police started an investigation. He tried calling Mia dozens of times, leaving desperate voicemails, some angry, some begging. But Mia didn't answer. Instead, she focused on something else, rebuilding what he had destroyed. She used her accounting background to start a small financial consulting firm for victims of fraud. People trusted her because she'd lived it. She knew the pain of betrayal firsthand. At first, it was just her and a laptop at a cafe. But word spread fast. Clients poured in, single mothers, elderly couples, small business owners, people who had been tricked by those they trusted. Mia helped them find justice, recover money, and rebuild their lives. Every success felt like another brick in the wall she was building between her past and her future. One day, months later, she got an email from the detective handling her family's case. Subject: Ryan Thompson convicted on multiple counts of fraud and forgery, sentenced to 7 years in state prison. Mia stared at the screen for a long time. There was no rush of joy, no dramatic sense of victory, just quiet relief. She visited her parents' graves that weekend. The air was calm, the sun setting in gold and orange streaks. She placed a small photo of their old home between the headstones. "I got it back," she whispered. Not the house, but everything it meant. The wind rustled through the trees, almost like a soft reply. Mia smiled faintly, stood up, and walked away. Stronger, freer, and finally at peace.
2 years later, Mia sat in a glass-walled office that overlooked the city skyline. The view was breathtaking, towers glittering in the late afternoon sun, cars moving like tiny lights below. A small gold nameplate on her desk read, "Mia Thompson, founder and CEO, Phoenix Recovery Group." What started as one woman helping a few fraud victims had now become a nationwide business. Her company worked with lawyers, financial experts, and investigators to help people reclaim what had been stolen from them, not just money, but dignity. She didn't build it out of greed. She built it out of understanding, because she knew what betrayal felt like, especially when it came from family. Every time a client walked into her office, shaking with fear or shame, she remembered the night she found out what Ryan had done. And every time a client left smiling, justice served, she felt a quiet warmth that reminded her why she started this. Mia's story spread across social media. People called her the woman who turned betrayal into power. Interviews, articles, even a short documentary followed. She was offered book deals and talk show appearances, but she stayed humble. In one interview, when asked if she forgave her brother, she paused for a long moment before answering. "I don't think forgiveness means pretending it never happened. It means letting go of the power it had over you. I moved on, not for him, but for me." One evening, as she was leaving her office, her assistant handed her a letter. There was no return address. She opened it slowly. It was from Ryan. "Mia, I don't expect forgiveness. Prison gives you a lot of time to think. I ruined everything because I wanted more. More money, more pride, more everything. You were right all along. Mom and Dad would be proud of you. I'm proud too. Ryan." Mia read it twice, then folded it neatly and placed it in her drawer. No tears, no anger, just peace. She stepped outside, the city lights flickering against the evening sky. The air was cool, calm, full of life. Mia smiled to herself. The girl who once lost everything had rebuilt her world from the ashes, stronger, wiser, unstoppable. Her pain had become her purpose. Her betrayal had become her beginning. And this time, no one could take it away.